Good morning, Houston, Galveston, Pasadena, Beaumont, and all surrounding areas. Welcome to How You Livin with Robin B. and Dr. Kiva. We're here to give you the tools and the education information you need to live your best life. And my co-host, Dr. Kiva.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing
Good,
today?
thank you.
Well, am I not getting any
Oh,
love
my
here?
bad. My
Am
bad.
I like the invisible man right now?
I've just gotten so used to you.
I love the way you brought it. You brought it in. I'm Robin B, and this is Dr. Kiva.
And this dude over here.
This dude over here is a figment of my imagination. That's what he is.
That's what happens. The men get taken. We take advantage of you guys. We take you for granted. My bad.
That's okay. I still feel the love because I'm excited because for the first time we have Dr. Kiva Davis in the house.
We've been waiting for you.
And before we introduce our guest, I think it's appropriate that we introduce this amazing being.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Who I've known for is it 15 years?
Easily, probably, yeah.
Wow, gosh, that's a long time.
I know, what?
And you haven't aged a bit.
I was like, it must have been about 10.
Like this old man. Like seriously, like every time I saw him, like, how are you getting younger while I'm like getting all rickety and stuff,
Yes.
right? So Dr. Kiva, so Dr. Kiva, when I met her, was not Dr. Kiva. She was in a completely different profession, and she really wanted to transform, and she did an amazing job. She is a certified reflexologist, and
thanks to Oscar.
Wow,
He was like, "Have you ever thought about this?" I was like, "Huh." Well, let me think about reflexology. So it was because of you.
Oh well,
I
I can't take that credit because you are amazing, and then aromatherapy, and then you have always been, since I've known you, been an amazing yoga instructor. I call you a yoga master. You don't like that?
That's what I call her too. Yoga master.
When she started configuring into those pretzel shapes, I was like, master.
Awesome. That is amazing.
And then went on from being a certified reflexologist, yoga master, and all around amazing holistic practitioner to being a doctor of chiropractic,
Yes.
which is incredible.
That is. That's beautiful.
So I am just so proud, and we feel so blessed to have you here.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Dr. Kiva Davis.
Well, thank you. And then this program is all about health and wellness. So that's why it's going to be a perfect fit for the community, because we're going to cover the gamut of all health and wellness.
Yes.
And so that's why this program is so needed right now.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes.
So I am excited.
I love it when that happens.
Same here.
Well, I'm also thinking that, if my back starts hurting, I can just keep it going. Oh yeah.
I got you.
With your neck. I love that. First time I ever got it, I was terrified. But once that crack happened, man, that neck crack. Do you do that?
Yes, I do adjustments.
Okay, it's not a neck crack; it's an adjustment.
It's a little crack, just release of gas in between the joints, and everything gets released.
Yes. Well, yeah, I think calling it neck crack is a little bit scary. It intimidates potential. Anyone that's not done it before, but it is. It's a euphoric experience when done correctly.
Done correctly, exactly.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So just to move into where you were segueing just now, Dr. Kiva, we are in an unprecedented place right now.
Yes.
In our history, in our timeline, things have been coming at the American public one thing after another, and we have a guest here who really operates deep inside that space.
Yes, he does.
So why don't you give Mr. Dirk here a proper introduction?
So today we have Mr. Dirk Meningfield, and he is a Christ. He's a
child of Christ.
Crisis counselor and he's a former NBA player, and he's dedicated to counseling those in crisis. Let's see, his history. You have a BS in social science from the University of Kentucky. He's a certified employee assistant professional Christ counselor. He's certified as a member of the American Association of Drugless Prevention or Practitioners. He's a life coach and a co-founder of Side Life Coaching. And Dirk is counseling. He's been counseling since 1991 at the John Lucas Treatment Center for athletes. And he counsels athletes for substance abuse and mental health disorders. And he's also worked for the San Francisco San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, wow.
And as their strength and conditioning coach. Ooh, I need for you to teach me some strength and conditioning for my patients. That would be
That's
awesome.
good. I see a partnership for me.
I already see it. I already see it in the stars. And thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you for
We
having
appreciate
me.
you.
Thank you.
So, how exactly did you shift from being a basketball player to this kind of counseling?
Wow. I mean, well, it really was a natural progression for me being a basketball player and going through some of the trials and tribulations that I had to go through in my own personal life. And after going through that transformation, I said, I want to help other athletes not go through a lot of things that I went through. And counseling for me was easy. And because when you're an athlete, you're on this regimen, discipline. And counseling is like that. It's a regimen of discipline that you have to convince people to take on to change themselves. And for me, it was a natural progression because of all the issues that I went through as a professional athlete, from drug abuse to, domestic violence, alcoholism, all that stuff I came in contact with and got help for. Then I wanted to help someone else.
Now, do you only service athletes in your current position?
No, I don't. In my current position, I also service the community.
Okay.
I go out, I do a lot of talking at high schools. I counsel a lot of high school students, mostly males, because of the fact that we don't have a lot of role models per se in a lot of the areas that I counsel. I counsel mainly in 3rd, 5th Ward.
Okay.
I do a lot in Richmond, Texas. A lot of people don't know, but Richmond, Texas, per capita income is the poorest district in the state of Texas.
It's
Richmond?
poorer than Sunnyside?
Really?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
How?
Wow.
Yes, it is.
So Dirk, let me tee this up a little bit differently, and get you to kind of speak on it from this standpoint. I read where the average child, because of all the violence that they see between the ages of 0 and 5, actually have more post-traumatic stress than someone who has been to a war.
Wow.
In terms of actual violent impressions that they've seen. Now, that situation gets exacerbated when they're in a poor community, when they're in a community where, as you just said, there are no role models per se, and they are constantly seeing violence right outside their front door. And the biggest potential hero is the drug dealer driving the fancy car with the big rims,
Right.
and the Jordans. How are you reading that in the communities? Is that accurate, number one? And number two, what can we start to think about changing to really affect that population?
Well, I'm going to answer it backwards. I'm going to answer about the change first, what we need to change. And we see it happening right in front of our eyes with these protests and things, that are protested in God rest George Floyd, because he was the tipping point, but it's about economic equality, because that's what those kids lack, and when you have a situation where there's no economics, there's going to be violence, and the kids are getting numb to that. So by the time they get to, like you say, 5 years old, it's commonplace for them, because one, in our neighborhoods, we don't have therapy that that we can touch, and we need more places there. We need more services there so that they can now have a place where they can begin to unfold that trauma that you're talking about that they see on a daily basis. But as long as there's economic inequality, then they're going to be subject to the violence.
Yes. Wow. So break that down a little bit for people that are not really connecting the dots completely on a child that is in a low-income home. You're saying the majority of that trauma, the majority of that post-traumatic stress is literally the fact that they are poor.
Exactly.
And then they're dealing with the frustration of their parents.
All those things that we know in mental health that come about.
Right.
Because of there's no economic structure and there's no economic hope. See, because it's a state of hopelessness that they begin with. And then they have to take on that because the fact that they go to school and they're wearing hand-me-downs or they weren't pants that they wore the year before.
Right.
Because they just can't afford it.
So how would it manifest itself? Say you have a 5-year-old, some of them are going to act out, but other ones just get really closed in.
And that's the scary part, Doc. Because the ones we act out, we notice.
Right.
The ones that
The quiet
sit over
ones.
and the quiet ones, those are the scary ones. Those are the ones who you say come subject to the dope dealers.
Right.
Those are the ones who are subject to the gangs. Those are because they start from looking for love in all the wrong places.
So in a sense, it's almost like we need to have it in schools just around the community, period, for everyone, even if they act out, that they don't act out. But it's the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Right. And the problem with that, we identify the squeaky wheel as a problem. We don't identify
the quiet
illness.
one. Right.
But he's letting it all out.
He's letting it all out because he's screaming for help. But it's
Well, John's over there quiet in a corner, probably planning something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
so we don't have that. We don't have that individual in the schools who can identify what mental health looks like. See, we can identify substance abuse. See, we can identify that. We can identify someone being hungry.
Right.
But can you identify the person who's over that is quiet, is in a place of hopelessness? Because if they don't come with any bruises, if they don't act out, you ain't trained to notice the signs.
Right.
Well, as I listen to you, I think we should probably come to the inescapable conclusion that every child, every child in that environment is traumatized to some degree, is subject to these dangers. Are there, and we have about a minute before we go to break, but are there preemptive measures that are being taken?
Yes, I mean, the city of Houston has a number of agencies that are in the schools, that are working with the schools. You have Busy Bee Wellness that over there on the southwest side that is sending out counselors to the schools. You have the Council on Alcohol and Drugs for Houston and Fort Bend County that are sending these counselors into the schools, but they're only there for momentary. What I mean by momentary, 2 to 3 hours a day.
Right.
So what happens is, like any child, okay, Miss Borkin is here, so I'm gonna act right.
I was a problem child at school.
What I'm saying? But they make that connection. They do have that person, but that person needs to be there on a daily basis, just like the teachers. So we have the necessary people in place.
It's
we
not
have the money, the resources
to allocate
it.
Right.
Wow. Okay, you are listening to How You Livin' here on Edge Radio Network.
How you living?
How you living? And some of them are scary. How they're living.
We're living kind of scary.
We're delving into the subject of trauma, and we want to invite you to share this page, share this information, because this is affecting all of our young people right now. We'll take a break. We'll be back in just a moment.
This program are that of the show host and guest. not Edge Radio Network or Sega Broadcasting.
1540 AM and 101.7 FM. Edge Radio.
This is Dr. Gabriel Arango with Arango Chiropractic Clinic, and today I'd like to inform you that doctors of chiropractic are primary contact healthcare providers who provide essential care, including but not limited to managing acute and urgent musculoskeletal conditions. These services are critical for managing cases that otherwise could end up in the emergency rooms, worsening an already difficult situation. It is important to note that chiropractic services also keep in place health care providers, first responders, and others who have physically strenuous jobs that support critical infrastructure, such as truck drivers who continue to ensure that America's healthcare and food supplies get to where they are needed during the COVID-19 pandemic. This information was brought to you by Arango Chiropractic Clinic and Edge Radio, 1540 AM and 101.7 FM.
Text and work.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping.
And we are back. You are listening to How You Livin' here on the Edge Radio Network. We are talking to Mr. Dirk Minifield. We're having a great conversation right now. We started having some off-air conversation, some of which I said is radio conversation. Yeah. So let's come on back. But you know, you just said something a moment ago, and I want you to finish that story. But I remember with my kids, I sat down with my 2 young boys. They were very young. We were watching some nature show, and it was about this wildlife preserve and these elephants. These were teenage elephants now, so they were big, and they were running around breaking down fences. They were killing the cows. They were having sex with all the other. They were going crazy. And the people that own this wildlife preserve said, hey, we're going to have to put them down because we can't control them. And they finally decided to bring in an elephant whisperer, some guy that knows about elephants. The minute he came, he said, oh, I see your problem. He said, those 2 elephants right there, they don't have a bull here. A bull elephant is the male figure in that hierarchy. And they brought in 2 bull elephants. And the first time those 2 upstarts jumped out of line, boom! And they sat down and they behaved themselves.
So they need a
I
father
looked
figure.
at my 2 boys, I said, guys, I'm the bull elephant.
That's great.
So Dirk, talk to us about that piece, that importance of that male presence in the life of these young men.
Oh, it's so important. And think of the pandemic that's right now and the loss that when I just look at the male athletes, the high school athletes that they've lost competition, they've lost community, and the one thing that they've lost the most is that male figure, most time is the coach, that they identify with and trust. Because now they can't touch it. They maybe talk to him on online, but it's not the same for them. Because now everything's been turned upside down. But if you equate that to the home, equate that to the home, whereas that we've went over 30 years now where we've seen the constantly decline of the family structure, whereas that moms, grandparents are raising the kids and there's no male figure. And what we find, unfortunately, is the prison population has went through the roof because they base it on that, but really it's not that. What it's based on, for me, from my perspective, is that we don't go in and now we don't take a temperature check on the mental health of someone who don't have that male role figure. Why is he acting this way? Why is he doing that? What is he watching?
That is the demographic that gets overlooked, I'm sure.
Yes.
That young male.
Yeah, because see, you gotta remember, in our neighborhood, the young female, she gets coddled. You know what I'm saying? Unless she has an early pregnancy. If she doesn't have that, she gets the resources she needs.
Absolutely.
But the males, they don't have that resource outlet. They're not playing athletics. They don't get the necessary resources. I mean, we have big brothers and things of that nature. You have the churches that have some programs. But what we really need is a program where is that young males who go to penitentiary need to come out and talk to the young males that are coming behind. Absolutely. Because we gotta break that cycle.
You do.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that they don't have a male role model, that's one aspect, and maybe no real family structure. Do you think that even playing some of those video games that they are so caught up in to desensitize them from death plays any role in their aggression?
Wow. There's a study being done right now as we speak. It's being done by the National Institutes of Health. And they're studying the impact, just as like what you said, video game desensitizing these young teenagers from feeling. They can disconnect from the everyday world. They can go into this fantasy world. And then they've made it, the video game makers have made it where that I can connect with you in Massachusetts.
That's right.
Or
in another country.
We can play against each other. Matter of fact, they professionalized.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. But they don't think about the impact, the mental impact that they're having on these kids.
Gosh, now you're gonna make me become a conspiracy theorist.
Make you become.
I tend to believe that they do know what they're doing. That they really have touched on something where this. I read an article and I never forgot this thing. It was in the early '90s when video games were just starting to really mature, and it said that the video game makers are building a new form of super predator because they're going to systematically desensitize children to acts of violence. And they have created this animalistic way of, just blowing people's heads off until these kids literally think it's a cartoon. They don't. I remember I was down, I had a business, Robin, well, both of you guys would remember this. Remember that, the hair, right on West Belford.
Yeah.
And this young boy, 13-year-old, runs up and just boom, and shoulder slams the glass wall in the office built, at the outside of the office. And I was walking out and said, hey, don't do that. I said, man, that could hurt you. Or you could damage property. Don't do that. That kid said, F you. And then he looked at his friend, I'm gonna go get my piece and off this dude.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my, this was a child.
You were traumatized.
Yeah. So the desensitization starts very young and it's very persistent. And these kids, by the time they hold a gun in their hand, it's a magical tool that ends life. But more than that, I think, and tell me what your thoughts are on this piece. More than that, I think that young men are fighting for significance. They're fighting to be important. If I got a gun and I pull it out right now, everybody in this room is going to listen to me. I'm the boss right now, right? So they're fighting for that significance. Do you see that to be true, or is there some other nuances?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, you got to think. Me and you didn't know what an AK-47 was at the age of 12.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you go on a video game, you know what a rocket launcher is, you know what it is. I mean, and then you know how to operate it. It tells you on the game how to break it down.
Wow.
So I agree with you that the desensitivity from the games and how do you say it, the promotion of violence.
Yes.
Because, and the significant that person is getting in believing that when I put this gun in my hand, I become somebody. Somebody gonna recognize me. You know, and that's what we was talking about little Johnny who's sitting in the back, who's all quiet because of the fact of it is his home life is not in the perfect order for him to operate. So he reclines into himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the video games where he can escape, but in his escapism, he's being taught how to become violent.
It's being conditioned.
So he might be plotting the next school shooting.
Exactly, and that's the thing we don't want.
Right.
And that's what we have to try to teach teachers, and that's why I teach life coaching certification. We have to teach people how to identify these mental health signs before they become a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm. So with what could the parents, what signs could the parents look for to say, okay, let me help with my child? What are some of the blaring signs that they can see?
One of the blaring signs is that irritability. If your child becomes real irritable by just simple mundane tasks, if you say, go clean your room, and if they go to a level where it's that they normally wouldn't go, and that becomes on a chronic type situation, that's the first sign. Mm-hmm. The second sign of it is that if you see them start to pull away from social events, you know what I'm saying? They don't want no social interaction. They want to isolate. Then you need to have a conversation with them and try to reach them to try to understand why you isolate, why you want to go just sit in your room and you don't want to go over and talk to Oliver. You don't go over and play with him no more. You have to ask those questions. But parents are so busy that they can't, they see it, but they're like, okay, well, after I take care of the kitchen and then I'm tired, I go to bed, and I done forgot to have the conversation that I needed to have. Right. And so it's a juggling act.
Right.
And that's why we need those resources. So if you are busy, you can say, I'm gonna call somebody at the crisis center just to get me some information. But that's the other thing that our culture, we don't do.
I was about to ask you that question. Historically, it's almost taboo to us, seeking mental health support.
Well, we don't want people to know we need help.
Right.
Because you got to remember, we're survival by nature. Mm-hmm. We're taught to survive because of the fact we come out of that impact of poor economics. So in your survival skills, you only depended on you.
Right.
And now I got to call Oliver to take care of my son. I'm not doing that.
Especially back in the day, it was like, you don't tell family business.
Right.
No, you don't put our business out in the street.
Exactly. And
right.
And
they have auntie up in the attic hiding,
and that's the problem with mental health in our community, because everybody thinks it's a taboo. Because I'm not crazy. I don't need to go talk to Dirk, man, because they're gonna think I'm crazy, or they're gonna think my child is crazy.
Yeah.
So what happens? We take them to a doctor. They diagnose them,
and they give them medication.
Give them medication.
Give them Ritalin, and all of this, and we mask the symptoms.
Right.
And then when they get 18, when they can legally go off the medication, now it all bursts loose.
That's right.
We just make it early druggies.
Yes.
Early druggies.
So we're right up against the break here. So folks, you're listening to How You Livin' here on the Edge Radio Network. We are talking to Dirk Minifield, a specialist in trauma and in crisis. And we are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to find out how we can implement some tools so that all of us can contribute to solving this problem. Back in just a moment.
The only thing better than playing a hero in the movies is being a hero in real life. Like the 50,000 veterans who returned from Iraq and Afghanistan with devastating injuries. They are true heroes, and they're why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America.
And some foreign food, some ethnic flavor.
Veterans of America has made a promise to never leave a fallen comrade behind. They make sure veterans with spinal cord injuries get the quality medical care, rehabilitation, and housing they need when they come home. They stay with our fallen heroes for the long term, offering counseling, job training, and support to help them regain the freedom and independence they fought so hard for, all at no cost to them. Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them. To learn more about how you can help, visit pva.org. That's pva.org. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
So let's talk a little bit about intuitive communication. You know, one of the things that I've always found very fascinating is how we instinctively have a connection to one another. And it's one of those things that no one can really explain. They just seem to feel it. I've always believed that in the realm of creativity, we're connected to a higher source. Some people call it the morphic field. Some people call it the cause of all causes, or the knowing, or God, or any number of different things. And whatever your belief systems are, you can appreciate that we all have a higher intelligence. And that's why when I look at what is happening.
And we are back. You are listening to the Edge Radio Network. We are talking about how you living with Robin B. and Dr. Kiva. So far, this has been an amazing conversation, right, guys?
It has. Very enlightening.
Wow.
During the break, I asked, because I work with a nonprofit organization, and we go into the schools to teach yoga, meditation, and functional movement. And I think this would be an awesome fit for that, also for people that are in our nonprofit to say, okay, we can get certified for this, because we are going into melanated schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so tell us more about the certification.
Well, I'm co-founder of SidelineLifeCoaching.com, along with my partner, Cliff Robson, that wasn't available today to come on the show. But I'll have him on it later, I promise you. The certification we initially started was based on for athletes, because we service a lot of athletes. But what we've done is broaden it into life coaching. And what we teach is, what we certify you is how to identify mental health and substance abuse issues in a male-dominated population, particularly our population. Mm-hmm. And what we want to do is we want life coaches that be able to share their life experience. We teach you how to share your life experience, but also we give you the tools to identify when kids are irritable, depressed, angry, and tired. Because tiredness is another phase of mental health issues that people don't talk about. But we give you the tools to be able to identify that, so that you can say, maybe I need to work with this kid one-on-one, because now this kid is not getting the necessary resources.
Like when you see little Johnny with his head on the desk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you see little Johnny acting out, jumping on the desk.
Right.
It's something behind him jumping on the desk. It's not just that he's ADHD. It's some more things there. And so we give you the tools to be able to explore that, to help little Johnny.
How long does it take for the certification?
Well, it's at your own pace. It's online.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to do it, you could do it in 3 months. You could do it in 6 months, And we provide you support along the way. You can call us, email us, and we'll answer any of your questions. And what we do, once you have the certification, we direct you to the resources to where you can begin to utilize your certification.
So, you know, one of the most impactful things I think when I was in ninth grade, just got to high school, I had my head down like little Johnny because I was feeling really sort of depressed. All my friends weren't with me in this new high school, etc. And there was one African American teacher. I had my head down in English, and she tapped me. She said, "What's the matter with you?" And I said, "Oh, these kids are making fun of me because I use big words." And she looked at me. She said, "When those good for nothings are out there flipping burgers, you're going to own your own company." And she spoke that into me.
Wow.
And it was very powerful.
That's powerful.
When you have children that are acculturated into an environment where if they act up, Big Mama is going to smack them down.
Right.
And if Daddy's around, he don't have no tolerance for that either.
Right.
So how do you finesse that into the nurturing and the speaking of life into these kids? Because that's what my teacher did for me, and it impacted me.
Well, the biggest thing you just hit on, every kid looks for hope, no matter where it comes from. And once they can get that hope, they're gonna latch on to it. That's why dope dealers are so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's why gangs are so good, because they give them hope.
Yeah.
And what we have to have is, we have to have that connection from Big Mama to the school that she had when we was there.
Right.
See, now there's no connection for Big Mama, because Big Mama just go online, check the grades, but she don't make that contact to the teachers to make the teacher understand that, look, this is what I require my kid, my grandson at home, and I need the same requirement when he's in school.
Right.
Once you make that connection, now you get that support from that teacher. But if you're just managing it online, like most people do, then what happens is that when little Johnny go to school, he's like, okay, ain't no reinforcement for what grandmama's not here, so I can do what I want.
Right.
But you know what's interesting, especially if you talk to teachers, they're probably maybe overworked. The class size is maybe too large. It should be a smaller class size.
Underpaid.
They have to underpaid. And then they have to teach towards the test, so that way the students can pass the test, so the school can be, have a better ranking.
And that's true. And that's true in a lot of instances. But in a lot of situations, I know here in the city of Houston, in most of our schools in the HISD, there are teachers there that really care about the success of the students.
But then what happened is they'll put that same little boy who's probably really intelligent in special ed classes.
We talk about that now. But that's a systematic problem.
And that's all I'm saying, from the top,
yes.
It needs to kind of change their viewpoint also.
And they have to change their viewpoint. But the thing about it is that it's like what's happening right now. If you want change, you got to get involved.
Right.
You can't sit on the sideline and criticize Sterling High School if you've never been over to Sterling High School. If you've never been over there, you don't know the dynamic of the culture. And we're selling it short, because they have just give you a stat. They have just went in 5 years from a school that had a 30% drop, that had a over 50% dropout rate of ninth graders, right? Which was one of the highest in the city. Now they're below 30% in 5 years, and the graduation rate went from 30% to 70% in that same 5-year period. And the only thing they did was they created a peer-to-peer groups for each level of class, where the kids could begin to talk about what was going on. And they had a counselor come in that they could talk to a one-on-one, where they didn't have to be called out. But the kids was helping each other, and the graduates was coming back. But that's one of the tools we got to begin to use. We can't just say, Oliver, you graduated, bye, you did a great job. We need you to come back to help the kids that are coming behind you to talk about your experience and how you got out. Because if we don't build that bridge, then how are we going to keep sending them out?
Yeah, you know, I remember when my kid was young and 10 years old, and I got called into a counselor meeting because you just touched on this. And I want parents listening to this to share this and talk about this specifically, is that they brought me into a room. I'm in a white suburb. My 10-year-old is very rambunctious. The kid literally was talking at 9 months old. I have video of it. Very smart, was reading at 3. And now I'm being told by a group of these specialists that my kid has ADD, ADHD, and they strongly recommend for him to continue, that we would put him in special ed possibly, but we want him on Ritalin.
He was bored.
And I was
He was
like,
just bored with
you
that.
want him on what?
Oh my God.
And I said, well, I'm going to agree to have the psychiatrist look at him, but I'm not going to agree to giving him a gateway drug,
Right.
which is what that is.
Right.
And African American children are statistically at a much higher probability to be prescribed those drugs. And those drugs tend to be gateway drugs.
Yeah.
And what I did that was different, and I want parents to do this. If your kid's having a problem, of course, now they're just driving you crazy at home because of COVID.
Right.
That lack of structure.
Yeah, the lack of structure. I got that kid off the Pop-Tarts, off the
There you
sugar
go.
frosted flakes.
It's a diet.
Oh my gosh. And all of a sudden, I gave him like some cleansing and detox stuff, which he did not like, but I said, this is better than medicine.
Right.
He was cool with that. His behavior changed overnight. Literally, within the next week, did you get him on the medication, Mr. Hines? I was like, hell no. I got him off the drugs that the Food and Drug
There you
Administration approved to put in my child. That's what I did.
Get
That's
some sea
genius.
moss.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. It was surreal because I saw the way he would have gone down that track.
Absolutely.
So you've seen and you've dealt with that. What level of parental involvement do you see? Because one of my teachers, a Caucasian teacher who was very caring and loving, said, "It's just I wish more parents were like you that showed up."
And that's what you get. And that's what I see, you know, in working in the schools, is that, you know, the teachers want the parents involved. A lot of times, you know, especially when we talk about the poor economics, inequality, the parents can't get there. You know, so what they did in Richmond, they try to have in-home visits. You know, they allow the teachers to go out to the homes to meet the parents because they know they need this bridge, so that because everybody that is teaching the kid has the same concern. We want him to be successful. But the problem of it is that we got to convince the kid that he can be successful.
Right.
Because when you come out of that poor economic inequality, you have low self-esteem. You don't believe that you can change your environment. You don't believe you can change your situation through education. So what? Because you don't have no money in your pocket. And then I'm looking across the street, you know, at my cousin Joe, and he got a car, you know what I'm saying? He got a pocket full of money, and he's slanging dope. So that looked attractive to me. And that's what we're fighting.
And you know what Oscar brought up is being in that environment. You know, you only have fried foods and stuff around you.
There you go.
They don't have really fresh
Right,
fruits
real
and
food.
vegetables in the stores themselves. So they're not even getting the minerals that they need for the basic. Because it's in the yoga community, we always talk about, you know, energy, right?
Right.
And if you are in survival mode, you're not really able to think of something greater and higher because you are just survival mode. And so I like the fact that some people are talking to the parents, because it really starts with that foundation of saying, well, make sure they're drinking water or whatever you can, even if it's frozen fruits and vegetables, do that. And you know, if you can't get fresh. But we're in a community of soul food. We like the grease. We like and they get us addicted to the sugars and the salts.
And you're correct about the diet, and I commend Oliver for taking that
Oscar.
stand.
Oscar.
For taking that stand, because that changed the course of his son.
Right.
You know, but he was educated.
But think of all the parents who don't know,
Who
don't
don't.
That's
have
what
that
you were
common
saying.
sense.
Right.
Who haven't
diet.
been educated on that.
Right.
Because this
And-
is what I grew up on. This should be good enough for you.
Right.
You know, this is what
But there weren't so many chemicals in your food. Yeah.
Eat the pig feet, you know.
Right.
And that is another battle that we're fighting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that we don't have the resources
Mm-hmm.
to get to the community to teach them about good diet,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
the evils of sugar
Right.
for someone who is in their informative years,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that impacts their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
We see it, you get
Bits and
subliminal
pieces,
messages
yeah.
of it, but we don't have. See, in our community, we need to touch.
Right.
We need to touch it
Mm-hmm.
before we believe it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like touching. You know, your grandma used to tell you, you go touch that fireboard.
You're gonna learn what heat is.
And what we do, we go over and touch it, and then we're like, okay, I ain't touch it.
We only do it one time.
That's the thing that we have to understand. That's how we learn.
Right.
Yeah.
See, we got to go back, and this is what we're trying to do in mental health. We're trying to go back and teach and help people to learn where they are. Instead of trying to start up here and get you up here, I got to go down here so that I can walk you through the steps to get you here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the thing that you're talking about with the diet, because there's been inroads, but the problem of it is the schools still do it too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They have Pizza Hut and Taco Bell at
You
school.
know, they you going to school now in some of these suburbs, and I mean, it's like, I mean, they got restaurants that come in and set up for lunch.
Right.
So we're just giving them a foundation for failure almost.
Well,
You know?
it's really, really tough because we're a culture that we have so many layers, you know, but it's not insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So if there's someone who's listening right now who is in some sort of crisis, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to them?
well, the one piece of advice that I would give to you is that reach out to the resources in your community. You know, there's hotline, there's crisis hotline. You know, I know Busy Bee Wellness does on-site counseling at their wellness center over on West Belford. You know, and I know the Houston Council on Alcohol and Drugs has a lot of resources for mental health stuff. But also, I would tell you this, is that if you see your kid that are having issues, and when I say having issues, is starting to not want to have social interaction. And this is hard in this pandemic because we're dealing with social distancing. So it's hard to notice it. But if you see them isolated, if you see them being irritable, if you see them have insomnia, that a lot of people are having, a lot of kids
Can't
are
sleep.
having this, can't sleep,
Right.
staying up all night. And a lot of people think that's just because of the pandemic, but it's a depressive state that they're beginning to get into. And if you see those things, you need to call those resources. Crisis hotline of Harris County, crisis hotline at Fort Bend, Montgomery, wherever it's at, in Galveston County. You know,
Is that something 311 could help them with? You know, a lot of people call 311.
yes.
Okay.
And then you can
Because
get to those
sometimes-
resources. I know in Harris County, I don't know about the surrounding
Well, Fort Bend, they
Fort
have,
Bend
yes.
has it.
Okay.
I don't know if Galveston has it, but
Okay.
you have the Gulf Coast
Okay.
council down there that you can call and you can get those resources. You know, but I would or take them to the nearest pediatrician real quick, because pediatrician, the one thing they're going to see, they're going to notice they can't treat them.
Okay.
When
And then
notice
they'll
that they can't
refer
treat
them out.
They'll refer them out.
That's good.
Now, so we've talked a lot about schools, but now you work with athletes also.
Yes.
Tell us more about the work that you do with athletes.
Yeah.
Oh, now he stood up straight.
Yeah.
He got up straight when talking.
Because it's what I do with athletes, and like, you know, I spoke on a little bit about what I do with the high school athletes, because they're dealing with so much loss right now and unknown, because it's still not known whether or not they're officially going to go to school or they're going to have to stay at home. And once that determination, so I'm dealing with them to prepare for this loss, because it could be a total loss.
Especially if you're a
competition.
senior, too.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't get it back.
And you were a basketball star, and that was your identity.
Or football
Or
star.
a football star, and that was all you identified with. Yeah.
And so what is that world going to look like for them? You know, how do they navigate? Because now all my identity, and that's the problem with sports. And me and my partner, we always have a set. Basketball is what I did. That's not
Who you are. Yeah.
And that's a big piece that we work with these young men on, because they put it all in one basket. You know, you hope that they don't, but majority of them do, you know, and you have your exceptions. But working with those athletes, what we're trying to do now is prepare them for the next stage, and what the next stage looks like for them. Not athletically, but personally and educationally, because we want to work with the whole individual. The athletics takes care of themselves. You are who you are. You know, you put the work in, you know, you get the acclaim or you don't. That's just the way that is. That's cut and dry. And there's dynamics to that, but those dynamics happen over here. They just get brought to the court.
Right.
So if we don't deal with this, we can't help them as an athlete.
So your primary goal is to have the current athletes find their way once they're done with the NBA?
Yes.
Is that what you guys do?
Yeah. And, you know, and that's at the top end when you get talking about the NBA.
But you still get them in crisis
you
also.
still get them in crisis.
And
you know, and we have a lot of crisis right now. And because, you know, it just got announced that only 22 teams in the NBA. And for you people out there, I work with the NBA and I do crisis management and I work with the anti-drug program. Well, that creates a problem in itself, because now financially these players had to give up 25%, which is going to equate to 40% of their pay.
Millions.
You know, so you're talking millions of dollars that they got to give up. Now, there's 8 teams that are not going to get to play. They have to wait till November before the season to start back up. So their season is over. So now they have been docked pay, and they can't go play. And now they're dealing with, okay.
And how you give them unemployment?
They don't get unemployment. They don't qualify.
Even if they did, right?
They
don't
so
get that 600 a month.
How do you deal with somebody who has been irresponsible?
Exactly. They've already been spent it all up before they even got that check.
You got to remember, they came into this year based on the fact that I was going to get a full.
I'm on the
So they already bought my house.
I'm on contract.
Right.
But now you're going to tell me I got to get 40% of it.
But you know, I think it's a powerful lesson, but a very important one. You know, there is and some people may be familiar with this term. There's something called a marshmallow test. And they gave this test to kids back in the 70s and 60s. And the idea was...
They should give it today.
Yeah. The idea was, I could give you 1 marshmallow right now, or if you're willing to wait an hour, I'll give you 5 marshmallows. But you got to wait that hour. And you know, the vast majority of kids were right about the immediate satisfaction. That was a predictor of how well they would do financially and scholastically in their life.
Wow.
Because the ones that were willing to put off the immediate gratification and wait literally had a propensity towards patience and the recognition that hard work does pay off. So when we're just about out of time, Dirk, but I wanted to just ask you this real quick. With regard to parental training, because it's one thing to train the kid, but I know a lot of parents out there that are just not with the program. Is there something there to train those parents?
Yes, there is. And one of the things we're doing on Sideline Life Coaching, and people can contact us at contactsidelinelifecoaching.com. You can email us. We are now creating a certification for the parents.
Right.
To teach them how to identify, how to coach, to teach them the tools that they need to help their children. And this is just not males, it's females, and it's girls and boys. And the reason we started that was just about what you said, because we said, oh, well, they got life experiences that they need to deal with. And if they can deal with them, if they can be taught how to deal with their own stuff and get it, it'll make a world of difference in their kids. And if they get this certification, because one of the things about the certification is that you got to heal your own stuff
Right.
to be able to coach sometimes.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Tell us again
Put
how to.
oxygen on yourself first. That's
For sure.
absolutely
That's
right.
Let's email us at contact@sidelinelifecoaching.com, and we will get right back to you within a couple
Say
of
it one more
hours.
Okay.
time.
Contact at.
Contact@sidelinelifecoaching.com.
Hey, we're social media too. Do you have any social media accounts?
Yes, we do. We have we're on
Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook, and y'all have to forgive me because I usually don't come on and I don't talk about what I do. And
You're
she
rocking
knows
it. You're
that.
rocking it.
Yeah.
And she knows that I just
We needed this.
So you're
yeah.
on Instagram and Facebook, all
Yes, I am.
sideline coaching?
It's our sideline coaching. Yes.
Outstanding. Wow, excellent information. Dirk, we want to just thank you for
Thank
being
you, Dirk.
here.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
y'all for having me.
Yes.
And I look forward to coming back.
Yeah, oh, we
out
are.
of pandemic.
We definitely really.
Well, I'll tell you
Looking
what.
forward to that.
When I'm taking my certification.
That's right. We'll
Y'all can talk
have
shop.
life coach, yoga master. We'll just do it all.
Why
We'll
not?
just do it all. Well, folks, this is a nice slice of how you living. I love it. Great conversation. Very relevant. Very relevant to our times.
Mm-hmm.
We want to invite you to share this program and reach out for those young men and families that are in crisis, young women that are in crisis. That's what you do, Dirk. Busy Bee was the other program.
Yeah, Busy Bee Wellness.
Busy Bee Wellness. So
West Belford.
yes. So folks,
That's
reach
great.
out and get with these folks. It's time for us to peel back the layers of shame and start dealing with what we need. We have been traumatized in many respects. Let's get past the shame and let's get to the healing because it's that time.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kiva,
Thank
for coming and blessing us with
We
your
love you here.
presence.
Absolutely.
And Robin B, my girl, I love you. Hey, next
Love
week
you
you
back.
are the anchor. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
right.
hang out. I'm gonna sit back in the easy chair.
All right, hold on to your hats next week, okay?
We're gonna be sipping some tea with Robin
Yeah,
B.
I'll be
That's what
bringing
I'm
some
talking
tea. You
about.
daggone right. But
All
thanks,
right.
everybody.
All right, folks, we love you. Stay safe.
you.
We'll be back next week on How You Livin' right here on Edge Radio, 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. Share.
Share.
Become part of the
Share.
tribe.
Peace.
Peace.
Providers who provide essential care, including but not limited to managing acute and urgent musculoskeletal conditions. These services are critical for managing cases that otherwise could end up in the emergency rooms, worsening an already difficult situation. It is important to note that chiropractic services also keep in place health care providers, first responders, and others who have physically strenuous jobs that support critical infrastructure, such as truck drivers who continue to ensure that America's healthcare and food supplies get to where they are needed during the COVID-19 pandemic. This information was brought to you by Arango Chiropractic Clinic and Edge Radio, 1540 AM and 101.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Ben Affleck. The only thing better than playing a hero in the movies is being a hero in real life. Like the 50,000 veterans who returned from Iraq and Afghanistan with devastating injuries. They are true heroes, and they're why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America. For more than 60 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has made a promise to never leave a fallen comrade behind. They make sure veterans with spinal cord injuries get the quality medical care, rehabilitation, and housing they need when they come home. They stay with our fallen heroes for the long term, offering counseling, job training, and support to help them regain the freedom and independence they fought so hard for, all at no cost to them. Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them. To learn more about how you can help, visit pva.org. That's pva.org. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the show host and guest, not Edge Radio Network or SIGA Broadcasting.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you